we know that statistically that more Black children were born in wedlock pre the civil rights movement, pre-integration. And so you had an intact family, intact communities. And what segregation did is it gave, I think, a stronger sense of community, and so stronger sense of family, and those families stayed together. But that may not always be because of segregation, but that was, one can point to that. Okay. And so you could say, with segregation, you had these not insulated, but those almost an insulated community, because you're never insulated from the police that still came in and did what they wanted to do, the Klan and whomever else. However, economically, integration has helped us in that I know that in the 1800s, right after slavery, the wealth disparity between African Americans and white people was like at 50-1. Okay, for every dollar we had, they had a dollar. By the 1900s, that had gotten down to like 23%. And then, although then when FDR integrated the federal government and the military, it got down to 11-1. And so we saw, so as that when the federal government got integrated, we got a benefit from that with the military and federal government. Okay, so next, by the 1960s, with the passage of the Civil Rights Act, by 1980, the wealth disparity had dropped 5-1. So what happened is that we economically began to gain. And then we could talk about politically, we begin to gain as well. And so segregation had desegregation, and integration has helped us out financially.
So now let me ask you a question. So integration itself, because some of those financial benefits were because of how we could do business, not necessarily how we lived. I'll give you an example.
Okay.
If you look at the Asian communities, the Asian communities benefit in two ways. First of all, they're given loans and grants to build businesses in the Black community, government strategy. The other thing is that they can shop and sell their goods. And this was something that the government didn't want. The government did not want them making money off of white people. And that's why they were very specific to giving them loans and giving them freedoms to build businesses in the red lines so that they could live off of Black dollars. Because one of the problems that white supremacists have had is that when our dollars start to stay in our communities. And so even though if you compared us, our wealth, the wealth gap, the value of our wealth was greater when it was segregated.
That's not true. We had more wealth. I mean, we had more wealth because the wealth gap decreased with desegregation. So that's the because what ends up happening is you have more access to housing, and redlining, what it does, even segregation, that redlining does, it affects.
Redlining was about values.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, so it's about economic. I mean, and I'm just talking about on the economic side. So what ends up happening is, so one's net worth. You know that in United States, most of someone's net worth is tied up into their home, and you limit the access to be able to move wherever you want in order to create that foundational wealth for yourself. Of course, integration in and of itself would make one wealthier because then you have access to go to other places. That's just not in one area. So you get to pick and choose where you can build your wealth. And so with those Civil Rights Act, with the Voting Rights Acts, all of those things help close the wealth gaps, and those were directly related to integration. And so economically, we were much better off. And So even though those things have happened to us, like with the Asians coming in owning a lot of the businesses, or the Indians or other minorities owning businesses in our neighborhoods, um, we still have we still were able to close that wealth gap up until recently.